Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Hello, everybody. We're almost ready to start here. Yes. Yeah. When Sam isn't here, everything falls apart. So we're trying to pick up the pieces. You hear me? Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, 6:45. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. If y'all need more chairs, there are more chairs over there. There's also a couple open seats, so feel free to fill in. Yeah, there's some more chairs in the back there too if you want to grab more chairs. Either way. Whew, all right, let's click this button here. So welcome. This is the Gamedev meeting. I am not Sam, so you're gonna have to deal with me tonight, unfortunately. She's at SIGGRAPH. We don't need to go over this. I'm just gonna skip through a lot of stuff. This is my style, you know. Sam has her style. I have my style. Oh, did we want to get Jen in the? Can you message her on Discord? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Why do we have another? Welcome. We are all an all-volunteer. Actually, let's do the safety policy. If you want to know our safety policy, that is the URL. We are all volunteer. We have a few board members here, including myself and Beth and Joanna and Eric, and I think that's everybody here. We also have a bunch of volunteers that help us out. If you want your face on here, or not, if you just want to help, let us know. There's always little things that we can get people to do, like Rob setting up. Where'd Rob go? Where'd he go? Did he leave? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for setting up the audio, Rob, wherever you are. We have events like basically every Wednesday, except for those rare fifth Wednesdays. I'm still looking for like a weird fifth Wednesday event, if you have any ideas. The first one is Jam Night. That was last week. The one rule of Jam Night is you got to bring something to work on, and then you just hang out and usually chat instead of working on it, but sometimes you get some work done. This is the Gamedev meeting. You know what this is. Next week is the Twin Cities playtest, which there'll be a slide for that, where we test in-development games. And then the MN, VR, and HCI is over at REM 5, which is what it sounds like. It's kind of VR, other weird tech enthusiasts. Yeah. And then we have our two special interest groups. We have Women in Games. If you identify as a woman, you are welcome to come to this gathering. This Saturday, yes. If you have questions, talk to Beth, probably not me. And then Game.Wave, which is tomorrow night. Rob's still not here, huh? Where'd you go, Rob? I don't know what he's talking about. It sounded like he was figuring that out, but it's going to be cool. If you are at all interested in audio meets game type stuff, whether you are like an audio or music person, or like I usually go just because it's super interesting and like it's nice to learn from cool people. It is streamed. Don't tell people that, then they won't go. It's way more fun in person.
Definitely go in person.
Yeah, some of our events are streamed, but you got to go in person when you can. Hello, stream people. Sorry you can't be here. Thank you to our sponsors, including 2DHQ, which, yes, thank you. 2DCon. 2DCon is next week already, so please check that out. Yeah, and thank you so much for hosting us. And then our other sponsors there are pretty sweet. Yes, Josh, you'll be there, right? Yeah, and a few other people from the community, and then some other people will be there too. So if you're interested in seeing local games, check it out.
Yeah, local games.
Yes, thank you. Yes. And then we do this every time. So Nice Games Alliance is a 401. No, I'm gonna get it. 501c3 nonprofit organization that a few of us run to just kind of handle the more of the finances. So if you ever want to support the organization for events like this, check that out. The money that gets donated can only be used legally for these types of events and growing our mission statement, which is on the website there. There's a lot of cool stuff in the works there that hopefully things will happen soon with that. Community plugs, yes. Before we do that, is there anybody, this is their first time, hello, welcome. What's your name? Well, welcome. Please talk to her after the meeting and welcome her, and anybody else. I see Jay, you're mostly, I've seen you a couple times. Yeah, but welcome to if this is your first time and you're shy, that's totally cool too. All right, community plugs. So anybody want to plug something that is coming up or they're working on, or yeah?
Minnesota Renaissance Festival starts this weekend.
Oh.
Say hi to the SideQuest players.
Yes. What is the side quest for people that don't know?
For those of you who don't know, I'll say that.
Yeah. Maybe yell into that mic or something too. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's yeah.
You guys already know, so I'm not going to yell at you. Hi, my name is Kieran. I am one of the co-directors of the SideQuest Players, and it is currently my only job. Basically, the SideQuest Players are a group at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival that do riddles. We've got some games. Basically, like, we have one of the oldest documented games in history, that every member knows how to play and can show you how to play at the Renaissance Festival.
Royal Game of right?
What?
The Royal Game of
Correct.
Yes.
And then also we have side quests where we send you off to different parts of the realm to go ahead and get some information, bring it back to us, and give you a neat little handstand. Everything we do is completely free. So, yeah, come see the side quest players at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival this year.
Cool. All right. Any other plugs? Rob, what do you talk? Where? Prove it. He's gone again. Well, when he gets back, Rob, what's tomorrow?
Gamedev.
Yes, I already mentioned it, but what are you talking about tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm talking about.
I remembered just now, but go ahead.
Still defining it.
Okay.
It's gonna be good. Music
Sweet.
stuff.
Yeah. It's a fun format, so definitely check it out. All right. Any other plugs or things people are excited about? Anything else? No?
Game.wave needs speakers. So I don't have to do them myself.
That's ironic. Hey. Yeah. I'm so glad we rehearsed that. Jam a Jam is something Sam helps run. It is a 48-hour asset jam. Let's see. There's a note. Reschedule. Okay, I think this was probably Is that a date? I don't know what that is. Check it out. It's pretty cool. Usually there's fun pictures, but there's not this month. So check that out. NiceGames.club is a Nice Games Club. Website is nicegames.club. Is a local podcast that is pretty great. They've had cooler episodes lately than this. I mean, the Freya one is cool, but no shade. I just mean there's been new cool episodes. Yeah. Oh, is that live yet?
It's live.
Oh, okay. I need to open that up. I did not see we must have taken out I did want to plug the playtest next week. Where did our playtest slide go? Did we remove that? Anyway, if you have an in-development game, no matter how early, if you want to get some feedback on it, hit up Mark in the Discord channel. Is everybody in the Discord? Is anyone not in the Discord? Everybody's in the Discord, right? You wouldn't be here if you didn't know about Discord, yeah. So you can send them a build. You can get some great feedback from people. And what else? Anything else? Anybody? We good? All right. Let's get set up. So we have a remote speaker here. Let's get set up for that. Yeah.
Jen, can you hear us?
Are you there, Jen? You're muted if you're talking. I see a stream. Technology. Oh, I see you.
We see you, Jen. Can you hear us?
I do not hear you, but that might be.
That might be our fault.
Let's see here. Although I don't see you lighting up, so it may actually be on your end. Rob, fix it. I don't see her lighting up though, so I don't know. How are you possibly fixing it? I don't even know what you're doing. Like, yeah, I think she's playing with her settings here, which is. Oh, she's rejoining. Always a good move.
I blame Discord.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is in a lot of ways. Been noticing more like little pop-ups. Been seeing those like, yo, you got a quest or whatever that means.
At least it's not Teams.
Yeah.
Or Skype.
Skype. What is she?
Look at you. Okay. She can hear us, which is good. That's always good. We have one-way communication established.
Jen, if you go into your settings and you like test your audio, like do you hear it?
Yeah, we usually would. She's getting a note that her iPhone mic isn't available. Is that like the weird Mac security thing?
Well, sometimes with Macs it'll try to use your
iPhone.
iPhone as a mic, which
Can you?
oftentimes is not what you want.
Are you able to switch input if you go onto the little arrow by the microphone icon?
I like how tech is just audio.
Yeah, that's true. But, sure. Sure.
It's always audio though. It's never, the video is never bad.
You came that way today, and then you
Yeah,
did that
what
thing
are you
tomorrow.
gonna talk about?
I'm ready.
Are you?
Are you?
Yeah, I bet you could fix it.
I finished the slides today, and I didn't grab those. Maybe she just needs some encouragement. Jen.
All right. How about now? Oh, still not working.
This is entertaining. I plugged in one cable. There were two.
There were other cables.
Three plugins.
At least three cables.
Yeah, that makes me think.
Well, I can't do
Yeah, you would
third
see her
audio.
thing lighting up green. Hey, you said you're doing that game.
Yeah. It should go.
Yeah, where is it?
It's
Yeah, where are the events for that?
so if you go to the
I suggest a different machine.
Is she doing the tests?
This is what, my third time here?
It's like Discord has the video.
Yeah, Discord does have the audio
It's
tag.
just been here like every, this one for the past 3 months.
What was your first one again for all the students and stuff?
The first one was, I just wanted to do do this?
Shipped,
Change it now? You can't just do that?
yeah, I could go out there.
How? Come on.
Yeah, I work with RJ. Yeah, he and I used to work together. I mean, I worked on I'd always rather like we released a new tank. Tank's cool, but for however long, it's pretty sick. And we'll release a new tank next year. Be good for however long.
If I think of something that's my main game is free $5 one-time game.
Workload is one thing. Yeah. It's that I want to make games. What do you mean by work, right? That's really what it is. I guess that's all going to be money. It's like the contracts I was telling you. Maybe another way. Oh, we're putting. Thank you. It was like, yeah.
Testing. Oh, I heard myself. Is this working yet? Can I come back in the room yet? Yeah. Is it working?
My current idea is
This is our mic. Well, we might have to go to backup plan.
got a Jen. Can we hear a Jen? Can't hear you if you're talking. You're not lighting up green for us when you talk. That is very strange. Maybe I should close Discord and reopen. Let's try that. I'm gonna bounce out of Discord and reopen, and we'll see if that does things. All right, can you hear me, Jen? Can't hear you.
Hello?
Oh, we have you. Hey, Jen.
Oh, wow. Okay,
I
I'm
can
on my
hear
phone.
you.
This is going to be interesting.
Okay,
See if I can.
we're gonna turn you up here. All right, give us a hello.
Hello.
Yay! Oh, hi, Jen.
This is crazy. I'm on my phone. Okay, let's see if we can figure this out. Let me see if I can get my screen back up.
Well, thank you. If that doesn't work, we have your slides on backup. We have your slides pulled up, and you can tell me to advance. Oh, we got a stream. Hey, we can see it. Oh no.
Okay, it doesn't seem like I can connect audio through my phone while sharing my screen on my laptop.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
Do you want to advance the slides for me?
We can do that. I can share my screen then. And then you just tell me when to advance. Yeah, you just tell me next slide.
Okay.
I'll be slide person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for dealing with that. My apologies. I'm not sure what's going on. Really excited to chat with you all about marketing. This presentation is really geared towards independent developers, solo devs, small teams. You know, I've gotten frustrated seeing so much advice that is just unattainable, unapproachable for really small teams without much budget or any budget. And so this was sort of my framework to give you a structure to start thinking about how you can do this in a sustainable way. Cool, let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, we'll go through these areas. We will run pretty quickly since we're running short on time. And then hopefully we'll have some space for questions. If not, I'll connect with you all on Discord and be available in both the Twin Cities Discord and the Midwest server as well. All right, keep going. Quickly about me, I run marketing at Midwest Games. I live in Madison, Wisconsin, so not too far from you all. We started out as an indie game publisher, and earlier this year, probably around February, we switched our whole model to be a publishing services provider that you can hire. So we provide all the things that a traditional publisher provides, but you don't need to go seeking a deal and trying to be, I don't know, part of the 2% of games that have a publisher behind them. We do charge for our services, so it still requires budget. But on the flip side, we don't take revenue or IP rights from developers. And so hopefully we will be providing just an option that hasn't really existed. One, that we have accessible services, and two, if you do have the money to pay for help, which is still rare, you do have the option not to sacrifice a lot of the ownership of your game. Previously, I ran marketing at Crunchyroll, spreading global anime love and discovery, working on Shark Week and things of that nature. My focus has mostly been in digital marketing, mostly social media, and a lot of brand and community building. Okay, next one. Okay, let's start with budget. I think this is a question we hear a lot of, how much am I going to need? How much budget do I need? There really is no answer to this. In the history of game publishing, there have been many games with $0 in marketing to millions. And so the range is yours to set based on what's available to you. Many games will be released with no marketing budget, really just the time and effort put behind marketing. Traditionally, you may see marketing budgets be anywhere from 20 to 40% of a production budget. In my experience in games, you're really lucky if you get 40%. Usually it's on that lower end. But again, if your entire production budget is $0, then that's probably the marketing budget you're going to be working with too. You do have some options. One, you can self-fund, which is tough. You could go seek investors, anybody that wants to help put resources into your game. And again, they're likely going to be splitting the profits with you. You can crowdfund as well. Those are all options. But I would say, take a look at what you think are the best ways to put your free, unpaid, organic effort into and focus on those. And then we'll also talk in this presentation about how you look at the return on those marketing channels and make decisions from that lens as well. Next slide. Okay. Campaign ROI. This is as we look at the return on your marketing, something that I want to call out for all of you to think about if you are putting any money into marketing. I really don't want to see developers lose money by investing too much in marketing or investing without doing some of the analysis ahead of time. Excuse me. So let's look at a potential paid media campaign. If you wanted to do maybe $500, you wanted to test on Facebook and Instagram ads. You start running those, maybe you set a maximum per day. You're starting to see it's costing you $1.50 per click on your ad. That gets you 333 clicks. Maybe 20% of those visitors who go to your Steam page end up wishlisting. So that's going to give you 67 wish lists. From there, you have to calculate what is a likely percentage of wish list conversion to sales. That has been quoted at 20%. I think it's getting lower. 15 is even good these days. So that $500 could have gotten you 10 sales in the long run. If you look at the return on that, you say your game is priced at $9.99. Steam's going to take 30% of that, so don't forget to forecast for that. So the revenue that you've made off of that ad campaign is now $70. And so you've effectively wasted $430. And so you do really need to know, like, what can I pay per wish list, or what can I pay per sale even, to make some smart decisions in marketing. Okay, next slide. There is a theory in game publishing from Chris at How to Market a Game. I think he came up with it. Maybe he just wrote about it. Maybe somebody else came up with it. But you should look at this article on the How to Market a Game site. I really like it. It is some hard truths for sure. But it's the bowling ball versus the feather theory. And he says some games are like bowling balls. They're really hard to lift up. Some games are like feathers. They just float and everybody finds them and they take off. And so to figure out, like, do I have a bowling ball or do I have a feather? You're going to look at the conversion on all your different marketing beats. If you put out a trailer, I mean, if you launch your Steam page and you're getting nothing, not a good sign. You know, give it a little more time. Try to change up the tags. If you add a trailer and you get nothing, not a great sign. Marketing can help bowling balls, but it's only going to lift it a few inches, right? It's maybe going to add like 20% lift. It's always going to be heavy to get that thing to float. Whereas feathers, marketing is a multiplier. It makes it take off twice as fast, 4 times as fast. That's where marketing really just completely accelerates not just a good game, but a good game that has like the right market fit at the right time. You know, you guys know what a competitive, tough market it is out there. And so what I would say is just like check in. You know, if you're feeling like you may have a bowling ball, like you really got to be careful of the marketing effort you put in. Definitely any marketing money. Chris's theory in this case is if like you're pretty convinced you have a bowling ball, it's time to start working on your new game. Okay, next slide, please. I like to start thinking of your marketing efforts by looking at the major beats. Typically, this is your announcement, which is really when you put up your Steam page, your release date announcement, and then, of course, your final launch. You know, these are going to go in line with your product milestones. So that may also, you could stretch that a bit and add some more in there. Maybe you want to add in a demo, and that's another marketing beat you have now. You want to look at, like, when is a good time to really show off some more gameplay, when we really feel good about what we built in the game and we've got more to show. You may have events that are big moments. You may have play testing. If you're in early access, you'll have a few releases. So start to think out, like, beyond just those first 3, what are more beats that you can continue adding into your timeline? And then there, like, you also can look at, like, what are flexible dates versus really hard fixed ones? Because inevitably you're going to have to move out some of these beats. You know, the product won't be ready, you won't be ready. And so identifying, like, what are the hard dates? You know, Next Fest is one, you can't change the date of that. And then what do you have room to play around with? Okay, next slide. Excuse my cough. Then you're going to start to work on a timeline. This is something that most of you have for your product, especially if you're working with a team. So it should be pretty familiar and something that's just going to keep you aligned on your product's goals, but now with a marketing layer as well. From announcing your game, you know, I still think 8 to 12 months is a great timeline for a lot of games. it's taking just a lot of time to build up marketing momentum on Steam, especially, and you really don't want to rob yourself of that organic value that just time brings, time and opportunity. So start to lay out these major beats. You'll have a couple of events on your timeline all the way through launch. Next slide. Then you're going to start to look at what kind of marketing do I want to do? The big rule here is, you know, if you're a small team with a small budget, you just can't do it all. So don't even think you can. I would say just let that go. Pick a few that feel like the right fit for your game, but also the right fit for you and your skills. If you really like social media and you spend a lot of time there normally, then you're probably going to do a pretty good job marketing your game there. If the reverse is true, that's probably somewhere to stay away from. Storefront optimization, I would say, is like a must for everybody. That's just where players are going to find and buy your game. And so you've really got to spend some time on making sure you've got a great, attractive storefront that reaches your target players. Public relations, if you're a good writer, if you can figure out like how to put a press release together, that can be done organically. Influencers, that takes a lot of emailing, but also knowing enough about creators to understand like who may realistically be interested in your game. Advertising is a tough one because it naturally requires budget. Events, you know, there's always choices of events that you can go to. Emails becoming more popular. You know, if you can get someone's email address, you really have a direct line to them. And then showcases is another one that I think is a really good one that most people can do. They're free. You just apply in a form online. You know, make sure that your game shows up in the showcase, and there's really little to do. The showcase organizers are doing a lot of the work to put these events together, work with Valve, and hopefully bring in some traffic naturally through the platform. And then this note here, I would say, like, study similar games to yours. Take a look at what they've done on marketing, what's worked, what hasn't. You'll get a lot of ideas, you know, based on like what that audience of a certain genre responds well to. Next slide, please. And then the marketing matrix, this is another way to make decisions about your marketing. You can see the axes here are effort and cost. I've plotted some opportunities in marketing out here. They may not always be true. You know, like if you've got an event in your town and you've got all the equipment you need, and if they've got like a low fee to participate, maybe that moves over to low cost. If you love getting out and talking to people, maybe it's not so high effort. Maybe it would rank a little lower. So you could make your own version of this, but I think making sure that like you've got enough marketing choices on the low cost and low effort side are really important. If they're all, you know, in that upper right quadrant, then you've probably got to rethink it. Next slide, please. Marketing funnel. This is a way about thinking of how you phase your marketing from the very introduction of your product down to when you want to make a sale. This is like a pretty classic marketing framework that maybe some of you have seen. But what I would like to share here is like always start really wide in your positioning or your targeting. We are working on a game right now that it's called Tomb Water. It's really great. It's really at its core a Souls-like game, but there's also some great Metroidvania elements, and it's a Zelda-like, and it's got really cool pixel art. And so we're like marketing to everybody right now. trying to see like who of those groups is really going to respond well to marketing, who's going to engage, where do we think the wish lists are coming from. You could be surprised by who takes to your game. Maybe it's not exactly the target that you thought. But you always want to start wide and let that narrow itself in. That's going to naturally happen just by who engages with you and who starts to wish list your game. But stay open, you know, to that, like your player type may surprise you a bit. Next slide, please. All right, then you're going to start to make your marketing plan. Let's see. Bring this up on my computer so I can read it. Okay, so start with that development timeline, whatever you have mapped out for your product, and then adding your marketing opportunities. That may be a next fest that you want to target. It may be an in-person event that's near you. It may be a showcase that's really perfect for your game. Whatever like your dream plan is of like what you want to accomplish in marketing, just layer it in there for now. You're going to then do a pass on like what is realistic. You know, what do you think you really want to commit to versus what do you just need to let go of that's going to be more of a drag on your development work. I would say from there, like set some simple goals or benchmarks. You know, it's really helpful to have an idea of what you want to achieve with the marketing. That's probably going to involve a certain number of wish lists that you're trying to get to. But there can also be some for marketing's sake. You know, social media is a big part of your plan. Maybe it's, Twitter, Blue Sky followers, or maybe you really want to get, you know, the Game Trailers YouTube channel to feature your trailer. Like just come up with some goals of what you really want to try to achieve with your marketing. From there, create a press kit. Everybody can do this. There's really nothing more to a press kit other than like a Google Drive or Dropbox folder with your capsule art, your game logo, a handful of screenshots, maybe a couple GIFs or clips if you have them. Eventually a trailer would go there too. You know, if you have a studio logo, you could put that in there. But that's all it is. It's just a folder that you can send a link to. If you're talking to an influencer, if you're applying to a showcase, if you are talking to a media site, it's going to be super handy for you to have just one link to share more about your game. It's also going to be handy for you and possibly your teammates just to have all of like the final materials in one folder. So that's really something easy that everybody could do to get themselves started. And you update that press kit along the way. You'll probably end up swapping out screenshots or updating a trailer. That can change as you develop. Okay, then you're going to layer in more of the marketing tactics. So like if social media is one of your channels, like which social platforms? How often do you want to post? What kind of posts do you think you want to do? Are they going to be funny or in tone of the game? Or, you know, just start to think through how you're going to approach each of those. And then eventually, like this is where some of that funnel comes in. Like at first you're starting to just introduce the game, show it off. Then you're going to start driving conversions. So it may be pushing people to a demo or asking people to wish list. So you can think about like the content as you layer it out, like that messaging is going to change through the course of your game's progression. Okay, next slide. Then you're going to start to build a marketing calendar. And again, this is as simple as it can be. You can do it on paper or any digital format you like. You can do it in Google Calendar. Just start to plot this out by month with all the different details you want within there. You can see here we've got like our game announcement. We'll do some press outreach around that. Social media is happening nearly every month. There's a couple showcases that we're eyeing. We've got Next Fest on the calendar. And that goes all the way through launch. And eventually you will plot some of this out beyond your launch as well. Then on the next slide, you can see some of this shifts. You're like, oh God, we were not ready for Next Fest. We are going to push out to the summertime one. And we didn't get into this showcase. So we're looking at a couple more. Twitter's not working. We gave up on that. We're focusing everything on TikTok. One thing I would say, like when you're plotting out your calendar, and many of you probably know this, Steam really loves momentum. So if you feel like you can like truncate some of your events in a shorter period closer to launch, that's going to give you a little bit more added visibility on the platform. Once you reach like 5,000 wish lists and 10,000 wish lists, like you'll unlock more avenues of visibility and discoverability through Steam. And so keep that in mind, especially with Next Fest. The guidance now is you really want to do the Next Fest that's right before your launch. You can release your demo far earlier, but that like Next Fest should be like the final push right ahead of your launch. So I would say don't do that one too early. The reason why you still want a long timeline, rather than saying, well, why don't I just announce my game and then 4 months later launch it, is you still probably need all these opportunities and time to get that amount of wish lists. It would be a rare game that can really build all that in a super short time period. So I would say give yourself plenty of time, but just look for any areas where you think you can build, a strong period of momentum. Cool. Next slide, please. Then, I would say, like, use all the resources you have. There's so many people out there trying to figure this out and learn from each other. And that includes many professionals like myself, people who've been doing this much longer than me. There's no answer to a lot of this stuff. There's like kind of a right for this game or right for that game. The platforms like Steam and social platforms are changing all the time. So even some of these, approaches that we went through here are completely different than what it was like 2 years ago. So I think that is just a huge advantage in game development that indie devs with no resources are often asking the same exact questions as people at very successful publishers. There's lots of newsletters and blogs I love to read. You can see those here. Sometimes that'll be new information. Sometimes it'll remind you of something. So many good communities with people sharing what worked for them, sharing numbers, answering questions, giving you feedback. And then so many awesome events and talks online. Hopefully we will see some of you at MDev here in Madison in November. That's where I first met Sam and a few others from your group, and so we hope to see you there. Steam hosts a lot of events and talks online. And then Midwest Games has been running an online series that's really educational called For the Love of Games. That's something we do usually about every other month. We bring in industry expert to talk about their area of publishing and sharing lots of tips. Next slide. I think this is the last slide. Yeah. This is a QR code that goes to the Midwest Games Discord. I did want to share with you guys that we have a channel there that's just called Ask a Publisher. And it's really for people to ask any questions about game publishing. We answer those for free as we're available. Sometimes, other members of the Discord will chime in with their experiences. But that's a really good opportunity to reach any of us at Midwest Games, and we'll try to give you our best guidance. So that's the presentation. I went through it pretty quickly, but I hope it gives you a little bit more of a direction on like, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to start? How do I put it together? I'm happy to answer any questions now if anybody has any.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a stop, so don't feel obligated to answer questions, but I have one.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I've probably got about 10 minutes. My son is still happily watching TV.
Oh, hey, hello.
Hi.
How do I flip it? Who knows? Who knows? My laptop has been a source of... I think I got to turn the whole thing around. We'll turn the whole thing around. Well, while we're turning the whole thing around, I have one question. You know, that whole marketing timeline, the 8 to 12 months, how much of my game should be done when I announce it? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that is a good question. Most people have very little, I would say, I don't know how to answer that question, honestly, technically. You've probably got like a good concept. You're starting to build out the framework of levels. Maybe you have a vertical slice. I don't know. I don't do development, but I don't think there's that much penalty in launching early. If you had it up 16 months ahead of launch, like for most games, that's not a hindrance. You still want to make sure you've got enough to talk about throughout the development. What I would say is launch that page when you feel like your game looks good enough to show. You've obviously got to put up some screenshots and hopefully a video. And so if you feel like those assets are looking good, and if you can write up a really clear description of your game that you don't think is going to change, that's probably when you're ready. And then make it a thing. Like, don't just put up your Steam page, because that is your announcement as soon as that page goes up. Put out some social posts, share it in some Discords, email a couple media outlets, like do something, try to get like a little attention, because you'd be surprised what you may pick up.
Awesome. I think we have a couple questions in the room. You just let us know when you have to stop. Or if you're done now, that's okay too.
All right.
No, keep going.
Hi, Jen. So I have a question, but I really quick want to plug both for MDev, because it's an awesome conference and I love going to it. And also the Ask a Publisher forum on your Discord. I've actually asked several questions there, and I've been really impressed by how much you all are willing to be honest and answer those questions. So I just thank you so much
who is
for
that? I can't see you clearly enough.
It's Josh Anthony.
Oh yeah, hi Josh.
Yep.
I thought that might be you.
Yes.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
And then the question is, so I've been considering early access for my game. So I'm curious about your perspective on how early access factors into a marketing plan.
Yeah. Early access is tricky. One thing is, when you launch early access, Steam considers that your launch. So when you open early access, that's when it's going to give you the biggest push to your page. I think a lot of developers don't know that. They think it's the beginning, and that like the 1.0 is really when they're going to get the love from the Steam algorithm. So opening early access, you wouldn't want to do that until you've got a good number of wish lists, until you feel like you've kind of hit your stride. maybe in marketing, like you know how to talk about the game, you've gotten some response from players. What you don't want is to like open that and have it be kind of crickets and be like, oh man, I just blew it. Like I can't get that back. So be really ready for it. You could still stay in that wish listing phase long ahead. The other thing, you know, to consider for early access is like, do you feel like is the game really set up for player feedback and iteration? You know, I've seen some games where they're in early access for like 2 or 3 months, and I don't think that's really what it's for. You know, it's really to show that you're building the game with the community, that you get their feedback after they put in playtime, and then you release a new build. And so, you know, I would just go through like, are you really set up to deliver on that end?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And I guess I would add to that too, like some people don't want a ton of player feedback. They're like, I want to make my game. It's an experience that I do, you know, so that may be something to think through too.
Hey, so I got a few questions. First, a follow-up question to what you just said about the early access launch versus the full release. Did that change? Because I know a few years ago when we transitioned to full release, there was definitely a hell of a push, and we didn't do any marketing. And so definitely it felt like Steam treated that as, you know, another beat.
Yeah.
So has that changed in the last couple of years since that the full release does not give you a boost anymore?
You know, so the full release still does give you a boost, but the big boost is at the opening of early access. That's when Steam really thinks like your game is now for sale.
Okay.
If it has changed dramatically, I don't really know. I think it probably has to some degree. But that is, you know, the experience that we've had and what I've heard most other publishers agree is that like the opening of your early access is like your launch. And so I don't know if it changed dramatically or maybe you had pretty good momentum in your early access. I don't know.
That could be possible, yeah, because, okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so the next question is, so we work with a publisher called GamerSky, so they do more like the Asian market, and so we have an interesting arrangement with them where they just do they just do the marketing. That's the only purpose. Like they don't fund us or anything like that. They just do the marketing in the Asian market, and obviously you take a cut for that. Do you know if there's other, you know, obviously typically when you think of publishers, you think of investment. We don't really need the investment. We just want the marketing. Did you know if there are other publishers outside of the Asian market, let's say European, German, whatever, that are, have that more unorthodox approach, or is that really kind of like a unique thing where you have a publisher that all they do is the marketing, they take their cut, they're not giving you a penny?
You know, I'm sure there are some smaller groups that are doing similar things. I've seen some like marketing consultants, you know, have arrangements like that. I don't know of any like reputable groups doing it in an organized way like GamerSky. You know, it's something that Midwest Games will probably consider as we continue to build this, what we're calling shadow publishing. It's sort of like white labeled publishing. That is part of our plan is that like we will be able to trade some revenue or IP for in-kind services. And so that's something we would like to get to. But yeah, I'm sure there are some. I don't think I know any though.
Okay.
It is kind of rare.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that help though in Asian markets. That's awesome.
Yeah, they reached out to us, and I was like, oh, okay, I can't really say no. I mean, it seems like a good, because that's a whole different market.
Yeah, I mean, that's really hard. Like most people, you know, I would not advise trying to market if you don't know, you know, culture and language.
Exactly, yeah, it's a whole different world. So, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I don't want to keep it.
So not to hammer the early access point, but that's like the main thing I'm curious about right now. So we had a game where it was a game jam game, maybe like 100 hours put into it in total, and we just put it on Steam just because why not? But then it blew up on Steam, and so it just turned into this actual big thing that was making money and stuff. And so over the next 3 years, we kind of made it into a proper game. But then, I'm thinking like, if only we had been early access, we could have like gone through the initial whatever, and then now that the game's like way better 3 years on, now we could like release it. But it's just fully released now, so too bad. And so we've got another game that's very similar to it coming down the pipe. And so I'm wondering if if the assumption is the game is good when it comes out, like it isn't like a, you know, the game's kind of buggy, but we're going to release it anyway. Like, you know, assuming the game is more or less ready to release, is there any reason not to do early access?
Was your first game free?
Yeah, and then the next
Yeah.
one, it's free plus a, you know, you can pay $5 for a thing, or yeah.
Yeah. And then your second game, will that also be free, or did you want to charge for it?
Yeah, it'll be free, but there'll be DLC and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, free games are just, you can't compare the success of those to
Okay, sure.
paid ones. So I don't know. You know, I think I would still, I don't assume that the success of your first game was due to early access. Maybe it was, but it may have just been.
Yeah, I guess the thing was we didn't do early access for the first game.
Oh.
And I wish we could, because now
Okay.
because then now we could have the full release now once the game's like all fixed up. And so I'm
Yeah.
wondering, you know, would it make sense to release an early access, even though the game's done, release an early access
Yeah.
just to get access, just so you can do one release later when you feel like it?
You know, I mean, I would say it doesn't make sense. Like, that is really not what early access is for. And if players aren't seeing like the development of the game, and if they're not seeing their feedback and communication with you, like that may be pretty disappointing. But I would also say, like, I don't see many advantages in early access over a full release. We usually push most people to go to like a full normal release. Early access is just risky, you know, like it's, you've got to get a good amount of momentum going into it. You've got to grow that then for launch, you know, to get more love from the algorithm. And I think it can fall flat for a lot of people. I think I've seen it end up more disappointing for developers. So I don't know. I would just question like why you think early access would be beneficial, and if that's really like the right route for a game that you feel is nearly done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have one question. Well, I have a microphone in my hand. That's right. I can outrun all of you to the mic. No, I have a question. I have a jam game that my intent is to go to Steam with it. Do you have any suggestions for like specifically jam games going into Steam?
You know, yeah, I don't know. I guess I would say like you could do still a lot of play testing. You can do a lot of development through Steam and on Steam, like early access. And so I'm not sure like how far along it is. I would also suggest looking at games on Discord. Those are really taking off. And a lot of times some more like simple, shorter experiences, you know, anything with some social aspect to it is doing really well on Discord. But I think that games on Discord are going to just keep getting bigger. And if you can figure out the platform now, you know, as a storefront, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
One thing I'll add to previous questions, if you have a game that's been on Steam for a couple of years, you might have one or two visibility rounds, so you can go in there and just push that button. And I was wondering if you have any experience with running additional visibility rounds for a game that's been out for a while, and how that compares to, you know, that early access visibility versus the 1.0 release visibility versus just pushing that button.
So the visibility rounds, there has to be like a product update with those. And so you'd have to have that, like either a patch or DLC or, you know, something added to the actual game. Sometimes I wish they could be like used for more marketing purposes. I would say I think the visibility rounds don't work like they used to. That's and they're diminishing in the reach that they actually bring in. That's what I have seen and what I've heard from other folks, that like they're just not that powerful anymore. So they're definitely worth using, and they often go unused. But I would say it's going to give you, you know, a small bump, probably not a big one.
Just a general question about discoverability. There's a lot of discussion of like more and more games on Steam. I'm curious your point of view on how Steam has been doing, because I know they take a lot of steps to try to have better discoverability than a lot of other storefronts. And I'm just curious your general thoughts on that.
Yeah, Steam is great at it, but I think we all wish it was better, And so I want to give them credit that like there is a lot of potential for discoverability. And again, that's why you see games that have no marketing budget like blow up. Like that is because of Steam. But it's also just can be really frustrating and feel limiting and like unknowable. So, I would say, I think like a great thing to do as you're thinking, as you're really early on in development, is to just look at like what is getting traction, like what genres are growing, what are new genres, what genres are mixing, what's on its way out. If you could, games that just pick the right genres at the right time are so much better positioned, than to fight against like so many platformers or declining survivors, you just can't fight against some of those trends. So I would say use the platform to aid your discoverability just by making the right choices. And that just takes some research, I think. But Steam also, like, there's just a lot of playing around with it. Like, change up your copy, give it a month, change your tags, give it a month, see what happens, because sometimes some of those really small tweaks will get a whole new stream of visitors.
Yeah. Cool.
So one of the things I've discovered about my game is that it has a lot of rather unique selling points that I have trouble relating to existing games on the market. So it's been tricky figuring out how to come up with marketing plans around that. Do you have any advice for those kind of games?
No, that's a tough one. I think you can either embrace the originality of it and just put it out there as it is and hope like that in itself will intrigue people and find the right players. Or you've got to find like an entry point, like it's like Pokemon with guns, something that like just makes sense to people. And maybe it's not 100% right, it rarely is, but something that gives them like the crossover, that gives them a starting point. But I don't know, I think sometimes like just the originality is what really piques people's interest on Steam.
And then how would you highlight that kind of originality? Because just saying, hey, my game's original, that's not necessarily going to cut it. So how do you kind of highlight that?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to show it, like maybe the originality is really best shown in visuals. Or maybe there's a couple bullet points that you need to call out in your messaging. Like, we marketed a deck builder that was not a roguelike, which was very much against the trend. And so we were like, we don't want to hide that to people. We want to like really sell that. It's going to appeal to a select few, but the people who really want like that slower, more deliberate experience are going to get it. And so you're going to have to put it into words or images somehow, right? And so I would just think about like what works best for what you want to show. Do you show it or do you tell it? And then try a couple different variants, pass it around to friends, show it off at your group or at events, and like just start to test it out a bit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I do probably have to get going. Was there one last question we should take? Did I see somebody go to sit down? Come back up.
This will be the last one.
I will give you the last one, Jen.
Yeah.
So you brought up Discord and Discord activities, which I think is really, really interesting. And it's actually something that I talked with Ben about a year or so. And so I'm curious what your thoughts now, how has that changed? Where are your thoughts on that? Like, and especially on discoverability for Discord activities.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I'm still learning a lot about it. when we've talked to Discord a few times, I would say like Discord is actually pretty far behind where I would think they would be, given how popular playing games in Discord and discovering games on Discord is. You would think they would have more of a storefront, they would have more discoverability. But I think it's coming, and so again, if you can get ahead of it, that's great. From what I understand is that discoverability is really driven organically through people sharing your game.
Yeah.
And so it gets discovered in a server, and then it gets shared to another server, and then it gets discovered in there and shared to another. It doesn't, and then that in itself will push that game's ranking up in their directory.
Yeah.
So, one, make a great game that people want to tell or play with others, or put in that marketing work to somehow make that happen more, even maybe just a prompt, in the game screen of like, play with friends or invite your friends or share this to another server, simple things like that. But it seems like it's very much word of mouth.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jen. One more round for Jen.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate you
Yeah,
staying
it's so
extra.
good to see you guys all gathered in person. So yeah, come join us on Discord, or I'm in the Twin Cities Discord now and happy to answer questions. But we really want to be a continued resource for all of you guys in the Midwest, especially. So thank you for having me.
Another question, I know you gotta go, but you picked Meta as your use case, when you were going through have you had any success in Meta at all? Because they gave us like $10,000 in credit. They gave us an actual ad agency that was like, because they were trying to like do like a, like you can use Meta to promote your game. So we entered a contract.
Yeah.
They gave us a bunch of credits. They gave us like an actual company that worked with Facebook to help us market. And it was just like, so like, have you had any success in Meta?
Yeah, we have. I think it works better for some games. Like there's some games where you're like, oh, you should advertise that on Reddit, or like, oh, you should advertise that on Facebook. It does not work so well with US players. I think it's better conversion in international markets. And then I think games have to be a little bit like more mainstream, or easy to play. Maybe classic action adventure games, maybe cozy games, but anything like more technical or like specific genre, I think probably doesn't work that well there.
Try to keep it this one.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Jen.
Hopefully we'll see you around soon.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye, all.
All right. I think we're gonna kill the stream here. Everybody wave goodbye, stream.